Good afternoon, everyone. Hello and welcome. Just a reminder that this session is being recorded. My name is Starlet Sinclair, and I will be the moderator for this Deal conference session. Before we begin, on behalf of ADEIL, we'd like to thank our generous sponsor, Noodle, and our host, Old Dominion University. We are thankful for their contributions in making this event possible. Also, please note that this session, just like the others, we will have a randomly selected winner and you will receive, I don't know which prize or swag it will be. I don't get to make that decision, but I do get to pick the winner and I'll announce the winner at the end. And once that's done, I will ask you to please provide your email address so that I can add you to the giveaway list so that they can make sure to reach out to you and coordinate their receipt of your prize. Thank you so much for joining us for this presentation, Faculty Professional Development through Asynchronous Google Workspace Tools by Dr. Jessica Marcolini. And please welcome Dr. Marcolini.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I appreciate you all coming to the session. It's going to be pretty relaxed. I'm going to go through some tools that we've used in both classrooms, but also our teacher faculty professional development programming. I will also be providing a template to some of the Google sites that we use, but please interject at any time with questions. Star will be monitoring the chat, so if you have questions in the chat, that's fine too. But also feel free to unmic yourself, ask away. So to go ahead and get started, looking at our overview, just looking at going over the consider new modalities, why we're doing it this way, modeling virtual tools, and then going over the different tools we're using, and then having time for you to look through the tools and ask questions, okay? So when considering new modalities for faculty professional development, we made sure to include two characteristics. The first one being interactive learning opportunities, and then the second one being applicable models for delivering. Those are the two things that we really want to focus when we kind of transition to. Our decision to model virtual tools that participants can easily adapt to their disciplinary backgrounds stem from Matherson and Wildel's findings that educators desire professional development opportunities that aid in the preparation and delivery of techniques and strategies that can be utilized immediately within the classrooms, right? They don't want to have to learn a whole new thing just to like use it within their workspace. So virtual tools such as Google Sites, Google Jamboards allowed us to engage the faculty participants in the content while also demonstrating the 5E instructional model. So for those unaware or have never have experience with the 5E instructional model, it's just the model that we use. Lots of other models that we can go more into. So if you have questions for that, you can also ask. So looking at the Google Suite, there's lots of tools that are included in the Google Suite. The ones that I'm going to go over today include Google Sheets, Google Slides, Google Docs, Google Jamboard, and Google Sites. So I'm sure most of you have experience with Google. We use it a lot in both our faculty professional development, but also our K through 12 teacher professional development for a lot of reasons. So the ones people are mainly kind of work alongside with and have had experience with include the Sheets, Slides, and Docs. So Sheets, very similar to what we see in Excel, Microsoft Excel. You then have Google Slides, which is very similar to PowerPoint, and then Google Docs would be a Word document. So some benefits of these that we really like is the ability to collaborate, right? You can share links to these. They are editable by multiple people all at the same time. It can be anonymous and or it can have actual tracking of who's contributing in what ways. There are a lot of add-ons that you can build into these that kind of run the gamut of all different kinds of things. So really versatile. These three, I'm not going to go as in depth in. I will show you in a little few minutes about how we embed them in our other tools. But these are the three that a lot of people have experience with. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this. If you have questions, also feel free to ask. One that you may be unfamiliar with is Google Jamboard. So Jamboard is a digital interactive whiteboard. So as we transition, right, in 2020 to a virtual modality, a lot of us, right, we didn't have ways to engage our students in being interactive in a virtual environment. So this is a tool that you can use for brainstorming with students, sketching out concepts, doodling. And so what I have is I've created kind of just some examples that I will share with you. So can we all see the slides here? The grid? Okay. So just some examples. Google Jamboard is really interactive. You can open multiple whiteboards at the same time. You can view them all at once, which is kind of nice. So if you assign a different Jamboard to each student group, let's say you do breakout rooms and breakout room A is on this first Jamboard, you can see them working in real time. So if you want to jump into their session, you already know what they're working, right? And you can scroll through all the different boards as you move to the different groups. This one, you can insert a background like I did here. They can work in graphs. So I actually have this open on my other laptop next to me, and you can like graph. Students can, you know, do all sorts of things. Some other features you have on this left-hand side column. So you have the pen tool, eraser, a select tool, sticky note tools. You can embed pictures, shapes, and then also text, and then a laser, it's more for just identification. So you can create grids, you can create lines if you have like, for lower levels would be like spelling or like writing. You can also create kind of polls where you have students write out or participants write out like their thoughts. You can do that by sticky notes. So embedding a sticky note function, you can type out information and select, and that creates a sticky note that they can then place within the Jamboard itself. What's nice is that you can make this anonymous for low stakes things. You can have them assign their name and write their name on this for credit and participation wise. So there's a lot of different ways you can use this. You can also embed images where you have students respond to certain questions. And so they can type in the correct response and go from there. This is one that I've actually used in my own classroom. So I've embedded instructions into it and given instructions for students to place a sticky note with their short explanation and embed a picture. And so this is, I make the instructions uneditable. So they can't edit, but they can add to it. So that's another nice feature. Or you can also just use it for concept mapping, right? You have the ability to have sticky notes, text, drawing lines, drawing arrows. And so really, again, just a doodle tool to engage the students and the participants in just drumming up ideas, things like that. Any questions on Google Jamboard? And I know I'm going through this quickly because I want to give you guys time at the end to run through some of these on your phone. Okay. So the next big one that a lot of people maybe don't have as much interaction with is Google Sites. So Google Sites, it's ability to create and publish websites. You can add images, audio, video, and more, lots of things, right? And it's the ability to embed other Google Workspace tools. So I have some examples of how we've done this. So we have in our faculty professional development program here at Florida Gulf Coast University that Star and I are faculty at, we have been working with adjunct faculty. And so thinking about their busy schedules and their ability to come on campus to do faculty professional development, we wanted to make sure we met them where they are. And so one way we did that is by allowing them to complete this asynchronous virtual web-based professional film. So they are on 4 different topics. So student engagement, active learning, designing inclusive courses and learning environments, effective assessment practices, and then learning theory. So just going over some of these and giving examples of how we've used them. So this is what it looks like from the participant view. So it looks like just a regular kind of web-based website. You can see on the left-hand column, again, for this particular academy, we use the 5E instructional model of engage, explore, explain, extend, and evaluate. And it's just a different steps that we use to kind of engage them throughout that process. So this first opening page, I've always start with a big question that they are going to be answering throughout the activity. Include some background information. You can see here, you can include photos, either your own. It also allows you to do Google searches for them, which is nice. The way we track progress throughout these asynchronous modules is to have them download a copy of the session notebook, which has them respond to a lot of the prompts or activities that are asked of them in the session. So when they click on this, it will prompt them to make a copy. There's a few ways you can do that. So if you want to know how, you can also ask, and we can go over that at the end. Then they submit that as their kind of completion certificate to receive their completion certificate. In here, you can also do drop-down menus. So here you have more information. So we include the session objectives along with additional resources. So you can either scroll through and click on the continue link here, or you can also scroll through the left-hand column. Some other features that we've included. So drop-down menus, you can embed images throughout the activities. Again, embedding pictures. You can embed links. So having links to this one goes to an active learning library, and it brings them to an external site to review different content. You can also embed videos, which is nice. You can, there is an option that I can show you that you just type in the YouTube video name and it pops right out and embeds automatically, which is nice. And another feature is you can embed Google Docs. So here you can see Campus is a Living Lab. We have a list, a Google Doc that we've created that has all of our different kind of partners around campus that they could do different active learning with. And so they can scroll through this Google Doc and get those resources. And then also a video as an example. So this is just one example of how we've done it. Some other ones, so our inclusive learning environments, again, same format. This is similar to what the template will look like that I'm sharing with you today, but you can edit it however you see fit. Again, we use the session notebook, drop-down menu with session objectives and additional resources. Some features that we have in here, again, embedding media of a variety of kinds. Here, what's nice is this is actually a Google slide that we've embedded. And you can scroll through different quotes that we ask them to select a quote and reflect on it based on the overall topic of increasing engagement and inclusive learning environments. So here's another Google slide that's embedded. So this was a reading that we encouraged them to take part in, and another embedded video. So again, this is just very general. This is how we format it, but I will give you time to run through and we'll go over some other formatting stuff. Just some more examples. So here is our effective assessment strategies. Embedding a variety of pictures, different media, so they kind of get an idea. Here's another example of a Google Doc that has been embedded. So they go through these different assessment practices and determine whether it's assessment for student learning, assessment for teaching practices. And so each one has like a step and a prompt associated with it. and then some more readings that are embedded through Google Slides. And through this, which is nice, is that when you embed it as a Google Slide, you can also like extend it to where it becomes full screen for them, and then they can scroll through that way. So they can see it and it gets bigger for them. And so these are just, again, examples of how we've used the different things. If there's no specific questions so far, what I can do is show you on the back end what all this looks like. So this is the template. Star, do you want to go ahead and share the template? So Star's going to, in the chat, give you a link along with just some directions on how to get this template. So it's going to be sharing a Google folder with you that will, you can access the folder and view it, but then you will also need to, if you want to make edits and use it at all, you can copy, it will force you to copy over and create your own. So looking at the different features, again, none of the pictures doesn't look nice yet, but you can change that up. So to start off with, thinking about theme. So you can change the theme, how it looks, right? They have a variety of different color options, theme options. You can add or take away pages. Again, we use the 5E instructional model, but if you want to use your own model, if you want to just have 1 or 2 pages that you embed different things into, that's fine. So just adding or changing, you can embed full links that they go to the next page and it sends them to an external site, things like that. Those are all options that are open. The insert, when we're here in the insert feature, right? The basic ones are text boxes, images, pull from your Google Drive itself, or also embed different links. You can run through a variety of different like block formats of how you want your page formatted, which is nice. And here are some other options that I definitely showed you in the example, but we can go through here. So the collapse function, that's where we collapse down into right here, where you can add additional information. That's what the collapse button looks like. The table of contents, that is either, you can either have it up top. You saw on the examples I showed was on the left-hand side that you can change as well. Image carousels, I had a few of those in the example. So these are just a variety of different things. So you can have placeholders, the YouTube function, calendars you can embed, different maps. Here's where you can embed your own Google Docs, slides, sheets. The only one they haven't been able to embed yet is the Google Jam. How I've gotten around that is just by including a link within the site itself to the Jamboard. So it takes them directly to the Jamboard, opposed to being actually embedded in the site itself, like the other ones that you saw. So it's not perfect yet, but they're getting there, right? They add features all the time. So if you're working through this and you choose to kind of use this within your curriculum or within your courses at all, they are updating it pretty regularly. Once you go through the way I have this laid out, if you've never used the 5E instructional model before, I have some examples, but I've also included like what the engaged step looks like, what are some student behaviors for the engaged step, and also what are some teaching strategies that you use to engage the students. So that's included in each of the different pages here. You can also embed like subtasks or subpages. So for a lot of ours that we've used, we also have like subtasks. So again, moving on to the next page, move on to task 2. Those are just options that you can choose to do. After you are done working through and creating your site, you would publish it. Now you can publish it in a few different ways. You can have it open access to where people can search your site, or there's also an option to have your site be non-searchable. So you can only have it access for people you shared the link with. You can add people as editors. So for this one, right, just me as an editor right now, but you'd have to add their Gmail specifically. So any editors can come into this editable version and move through it that way. Then you can have different sharing options. So restricted, anyone with the link, things like that, public share site. And so those are just some, again, different options that you can go through. But what I want to do now is we still have a little bit of time. How many? Quite a few people in the room. So what I'm going to have us do is to go into breakout rooms just for 5 minutes tops. And I just would like you to talk to your other breakout groups and participants about how you might use either the Google Sites, the Google Jamboards, or any of the Google suite of tools in your courses, in your development scenarios, and things like that. And then we'll come back together after 5 minutes and kind of report out. Star, does that sound good?
Sandra is making the breakout rooms right now.
While we're waiting for breakout rooms, does anyone have any questions? Were there any questions in the chat? Just start here.
Okay. I didn't see any. Sandra, is it going to randomly assign people to breakouts, or do we have to put them in the breakout rooms? Oh, Jessica, you had a question. Maybe let's randomly assign, and then Jessica, you did have a question. Ruben asked, is it completely free to publish your website once it's done?
Yes, it is. Like, I've never run into anyone ask, like any of the profs ask me to subscribe or anything. Star, when we first started talking about this, did ask, like, do you need a Google like address to do it? Yes. If you are working with students who don't have it, they can view a lot of, like, they can view the site, they can do all that stuff, they can view Google Docs, but if you want them to edit anything, they'll need a Gmail address. Yeah. So if you want your students, right, I've seen where a faculty member had students create Google sites for book reports, right? And so he had a template that he used and he sent those out. To edit those templates, they would need a Google Gmail account. But
all right, Sandra, can you reset us and then send us to the breakout rooms? Please.
Okay, do you guys see where you can join a breakout room? I'll close it and restart it.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Can you send them, like randomly assign us to the rooms? If that's
Okie
okay.
dokie.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Mm-hmm. Hey, they're not going.
I know.
well, you know what? It doesn't matter. We're good. What we can do, if anyone has questions or wants me to go more in depth on any type of the features or anything, I'm fine with answering any questions. Does anyone?
I think it's doing stuff. Stuff is happening. Breakout rooms are happening.
One person in the breakout.
All right. Well, let me. Got it. Maybe it's working. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
I have no idea what we're doing in the breakout room.
Yes.
afternoon.
So Jessica sent a prompt. She said we should be discussing how we could use the tool that the template, or just any of the Google tools that she overviewed, like Jamboard, in either with our classes, with our students, or with our own professional development activities.
Okay.
So I don't know, was
Uh,
everyone able to check out the template link that we posted?
no, I didn't. I apologize.
No problem. I posted it again if you want to copy it and save it for later to check
Oh.
out at another time.
Got it.
All
Thank
right.
you.
No
Frankly, I
problem.
don't know enough about any of them to use them in my classroom. So
Recording in progress.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're muted.
I don't know why.
There
Thank
you
you for
go.
letting me know. So hopefully in the breakout rooms, smaller groups allowed you all to ask questions or for kind of brainstorm about how you might use this. Does anyone have any kind of overarching questions? I know we have a few minutes left about how you might embed either the Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Jamboards, any of those, or even the Google Sites within your own classes, or even have questions about how I use them within my curriculum and my training.
I think, Jessica, there just, can you just take maybe a couple of minutes to talk a bit more about ways to utilize these tools in more of an asynchronous kind of environment? I mean, obviously with Jamboard, yes, you can see them doing things in real time, but it doesn't necessarily have to be real time use of it, correct? So if you can maybe give a few examples from the tools that we talked about today about sort of asynchronous use that may be pretty relevant to a lot of the folks in the session as well.
Definitely. So the way I've designed all the Google sites that we create are asynchronous. And so it's very self-paced as they work through the different pages, through the different 5Es. They can do it at their own time, pace. The other tools I've definitely used Google Sheets, where I'll create like a grid and then they, at their own leisure, whenever they have time, fill in different criteria. Jamboard can be used asynchronously. Jamboard's more of like a synchronous one, but just depending on how you set it up. So I can actually, let me stop sharing momentarily. Show you how we do that. So for example, if you set up like this one, where I have an instruction using the sticky note function, this was an asynchronous activity. So I sent this to them at their own leisure. They went through, opened up a sticky note, wrote their response in, did that, and then they come in here and then find pictures. So they could either upload it from their own computer, they can search Google images, which is nice. So let's say like they can search Google images for makeup and they want to, this is what they put, right? So insert that. So inserts the picture. And so just whatever directions you give to them, they do on their own time. So this is another example of something that could be asynchronous if you choose to be. So again, assigning this to them, they fill it out and they can submit it by sharing a link back to you. So it's kind of pretty adaptable. Doesn't even have specific tools that they would like me to show you examples of how it could be used asynchronously.
No, I think you kind of addressed it because that was a question that came up in the group that I was in about, how adaptable these are for asynchronous use. And then one of the things I was sort of mentioning is, the use of the Google, website. I don't know what's the official name of it. Is it? Right. So basically how, let's say for those of us who either are or have interest in, let's say, international instruction, let's say with here at FGCU, we call it COIL. I forget what the acronym stands for, but, let's say we want to be able to provide content across, outside of, let's say, the LMS, right? And so that's sometimes a logistical issue that we have to deal with where, the students at the partnering institution and wherever, Hungary, they're not Canvas users. And so to be able to create essentially the course using the Google Sites form tool thing and then have it sort of integrated that way, helps to provide a much more, comprehensive experience for maybe those students who aren't part of our, Canvas or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's also something I thought that was, looked, pretty useful, could be useful, a useful tool for in those types of situations.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Does anyone have any lingering or, last few questions, final questions for Dr. Marcolini before we commence wrapping up the session? Okay. Seeing none, thank you. All right, so I just want to thank you, Dr. Jessica Marcolini, for your presentation, and thank you to everyone for attending. I'm going to put in the chat, there is the link to the conference. There's an evaluation form. Oh, I just direct messages just to Ruben. All right, let me make sure I send it to everybody. There we go. If you could please complete the evaluation form, that would be great. And I am happy to announce that the winner from our session is Dr. Lucas Connor. So Dr. Connor, if you would please put your email address in the chat, and someone from ADEIL will be in contact with you regarding your prize that you have won for attending today's session. All right. All right. So thank you, everyone. I hope that you all enjoy the rest of the conference. We've got one more set of sessions to go. And so I look forward to seeing you all there. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.